Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Apex Racing League launched ARL GT Americas, our first American time zone GT3 championship. Over 6 rounds, drivers will compete in a mirror series to the popular ARL GT3 trophy, racing in a mixture of formats from 1 hour-long features to reverse grid sprints. We visit some of the most popular circuits in the sim, such as Spa, Watkins Glen and Suzuka, along with offering drivers a great opportunity to prepare for the Petit Le Mans with our opening round at Road Atlanta. Races starts on Saturdays at 21:10 Eastern Time, and any driver with a D-Class road license is welcome to register and fight for over $1,500 in prizes. Sign up at apexracingleague.com to confirm your place on the grid. See you on track.
The spiritual home of road racing in the USA conjures up the imagination of lots of different tracks. But one that definitely comes to the forefront is Watkins Glen International. It's been seeing top-level racing here since the 1940s, and indeed, virtually all major road racing classes in North America have competed here at one stage or another, from Formula One through to Can-Am, and of course the NASCAR Cup Series. But tonight sees the ARL GT Americas Round 3 live here on Apex Racing TV. I am Tim Cox. We've got John Robson in the virtual production trailer. But right now, as always, I'm joined by Charles Bashal. Charles, welcome along. Spa, last time out, well, what can we say? Standard Spa, full of high-speed action, drama and excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fantastic race. There were lots of battles on the track, and yeah, it was amazing to watch.
It most certainly was, and qualifying just getting underway right now. Drivers on their out laps. Let's see who has claimed pole so far in the two classes, Pro and Am. Pole in each of those respective categories gone to 2 different drivers, and nobody other than the last time out in Am, Vaniscus making a pole to win a victory. No driver has managed it so far. Looking at the championship standings though, Hewins leading the way in Pro, only just though by 3 points. Second place finisher overall, Chris Tapio from last time out of Spa, the Canadian, he's in second with Lewis 3 points behind him, in fact largely thanks to those 2 third place finishes that he has picked up. Oliveira and Yael Delgado rounding out your top 5. Let's take a little look across into Am. And wow, Bruce Jackson leads the way, largely thanks to that first place at Road Atlanta in round 1. Third place last time out at Spa. He is top of the pile, and by 22 points, a considerable margin at this stage of the season already. Vos is in second, tied with Aaron Beaver. Clist, he's 6 points behind in fourth, with Moran rounding out your top 5, 4 points behind Clist. And just drivers on their first flying laps right now. Who's going to get those pole positions in each of the classes? An hour-long race is ahead of us. And Charles, we were saying just before the show how much both of us love this track. It's great. There's so many different lines through most of the corners around here. It just invokes great racing, lots of overtaking opportunities, and, well, I just can't heap enough praise onto this place. I love it that much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely my favorite track. And you're right. Yeah, lots of lines through the corners, lots of high braking points, high braking zones, so you can make those moves, try and get to the inside of the car to make that pass. There's going to be lots of side by side. You'll see some drafting down into the bus stop. And there'll be, by the end of this race, there'll be a couple of challenges that will be, I think, probably a little optimistic. We'll say it like that. But this track, because of, it's not the longest track in the world, it just makes for really great racing. And it's one of the tracks in iRacing that is used in every series almost. I mean, they run open wheels here, they run all the GTs, they run LMPs. So everybody should be really familiar with this track, so it should make for some really exciting battles.
Eagle Eye viewers at home will have spotted already, because we're running with the bus stop chicane tonight. And a big story coming out of qualifiers, just halfway through right now. It's an AM at the top of the pile by 3/10. Bruce Jackson in the BMW for Aerokinetics Purple, leading the way. Well, who doesn't love an extra bit of drama? Of course, he's been the driver, definitely in form as mentioned. Look at the championship standings. First at Road Atlanta, on the podium in third, last time out in Spa in the AM category. And a pole position overall, potentially on the cards here at Watkins. Wow, that margin is definitely slimming as Lucas Martins, the Brazilian, Aerokinetics Pink in the Mercedes, is going second there with his best lap of the evening so far. But Jackson and Martins both on out laps. They've got a chance to cram another one in. Can they go faster? Can Jackson hold on? That pole position overall, well, that would be a cracking story to definitely come out of this round. But Charles, the Battle of the Glen, it always is, isn't it? It's how it's known, and it always delivers on that. I mean, who's going to be your favourites this evening? I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay, let's. So I was thinking about this as you were talking. I think obviously Jackson has really put in a lot of practice. Of course, like I said, you can get a lot of practice because this track is in a lot of different car classes, right? So a lot of different series run Watkins Glen. So you can really get a car and you can refine your line, and it doesn't matter if you're AM or not. You can run really good pace here. I was thinking about it. So the drawbacks and the pros and cons of each car. I think it's going to be a BMW, and if I was going to guess, I would say I think Delgado has a good chance for this. I know he's a little down on the qualifying pace, but he really ran well at Road Atlanta. He ran well in parts at Spa also. He's got good late race pace. The BMW is probably going to be the strongest car. The Porsche is obviously the fastest, but there's a couple corners on here that just really the Porsche doesn't really like. The Mercedes is quick. It uses tires a lot at this track for whatever reason, and so I think they'll kind of fade later in the race. So I would look for a Beaver to be on the top step today. So my pick's going to be Delgado. I'll just throw that out.
There we go. One to watch out for. Jackson and Delgado. They're Charles's hot tips for this evening. Let's hope the curse of the commentator isn't struck upon them. Because the BMW's notoriously good across the curbs. As you can see, when we come into the bus stops, really mashing those curbs on entry. Oh, wow, how Lucas Souza there. I thought that he was a god of there, Charles, when he mashed him, lost it midway through the bus stop, but held on to it like a bucking bronco.
Yeah, that was a great save. And yeah, that's, the Mercedes doesn't quite do the same job that the BMW does across the curbs. But he held it really well.
I think he displayed your point there incredibly well, that it does not do so well compared to the BMWs over the curbs whatsoever. But, well held. That man there had spectacular style. Looked like a guy that saved it from near-death experience and a one-way ticket to the walls. But I get the feeling this isn't going to be necessarily his quickest lap. Andrew Moran, he's on an improving lap. Personal best in sectors 1, 2, 3 and 4, but across the line. Getting interested to see how he can move up through the standings. Rezhnak, Beaver and Moran. Well, Moran, there you go, just getting the time on the board there. No improvement in the final sector. Had all of his previous laps deleted. He goes 15th. So let's mention Rezhnak and Beaver yet to set times. Rezhnak, his first lap being deleted, so that's why he's down the bottom there. And Beaver yet to get out on track. Lone Audi in the field. Other than that, made up through the perennial iRacing favourites at the moment. Mercedes, Porsche, BMW. Smith displaces Hewins there to go third. Two North Americans swapping places, but it's a hard cut-off. As soon as we hit 10 minutes, that's it. Qualifying is done and dusted, regardless of where on the lap. And right now, the Yam Jackson is on course to take pole position overall. There is a time as Strapoli goes one better, moves up into 10th and upper row, and there you go. The door slammed shut on qualifying. Bruce Jackson take a bow, sir, in the BMW for Aerokinetics purple. The Yam driver, pole overall. What a performance from him with a 142.589. Lucas Markin joins him on the front row, the top qualifier in Pro. Then it's Smith and Hewins on the second row grid with Hugo Oliveira, joined by Chris Tapio, who claimed pole last time out at Spa. So that's all the way down in 6th here at Watkins Glen. El Delgado, he's got fellow Brazilian Marcos Vinicius starting on the 4th row of the grid with Vorsen Strapoli rounding out your top 10, the 5th row of the grid. Fernando Torres, he's got Leonardo Tragota alongside him on the 6th row of the grid with Clist and Groves forming the 7th row. Moran, he's got Afzal for company in the our lone Ferrari runner here today. So sorry, Moran, our lone Ferrari runner, getting those two swapped around there. We have Rezhnak, as you mentioned, didn't set a time, had his time deleted in qualifying. Beaver in the Audi did not set a time due to not competing in qualifications, so he'll start 18th, right at the back, dead last. The only way is up for him. Interesting to watch him come through the field. Had a good result last time out at Spa. Can he emulate and continue that form here again? Finished 2nd in class, but he's got his work cut out, hasn't he, Charles, if he wants to get on the podium tonight at Watkins?
Yeah, the field's pretty tight. It's not a big gap from the front to the back, so it's going to be tough sledding to try and make all those passes. Might have to try a pit strategy to try and make up some spots during the middle of the race.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one, but the same way you can do it, Watkins is definitely one of those places. This is the Porsche 911 safety car leads the field away, as always, in GT's rolling start. As we exit out of the penultimate corner and into the final corner. The safety car is going to pull in any second. We'll be going green, we'll be going racing. in the round 3 of the ARL GT's Americas. Safety car in, and we are green, and we are racing here, and Jackson does not hang around. Pedal to the metal, gets going, cuts across onto the racing line as we come down in turn 1, the 90, and I tell you what, a bit of argy-bargy going on in the background there. For second place, the Mercedes and the Porsche of Martins and Smith respectively scrapping it out. But also, look at that, joining the fight, Hewins in that Porsche looking aggressive right now and really squeezing fellow Porsche driver Smith to the outside. Oh, there's been a wreck in the S's. Someone is backwards, and I think that might well be Vorst, the pro driver. But Martins has gone past Jackson for the lead. And gutting that the driver couldn't hold on to it for much longer. But are we going to see Martins clear off into the distance in that Mercedes? Only time will tell. And I think Leonardo Dragota also caught up in that incident through the S's. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that shortly as we head down through the toe into the boot section of Watkins Glen and up the hill, across the crest and the run down to the heel. Another chance for big braking, big overtaking opportunity. He's looking for the 100 board, and that 1, 2, 3 there of Chris Sapio. Oh, I tell you what, elbows out. And a bit of a squeeze on the outside there, Charles, against Delgado.
Yeah, you can run a little wide there, but I don't think Delgado will go all the way out that far wide. So yeah, a little bump, doesn't look like any damage to the cars. They'll keep driving, and Delgado will try and work his way back in front.
Definitely will do indeed as we come around to complete lap 1. Right now it's Martins, leads from Jackson, Hewins third, Smith, Oliveira, Tapio, Delgado, Vinicius, Moran, in that low Ferrari. Good start from me. He's already at 6 places. That's an astounding opening lap. Then Fernando Torres, he's going to round out your top 10. Pretty much as they were as they started up front. But I tell you what, Jackson under a lot of pressure right now, just moving to the outside, being squeezed by Hewins, who's definitely a man on the move, is the Canadian. And now Jackson under a lot of pressure from Smith in that Porsche, who's going to look to nip by into the bus stop. He's done it. He's up a place. He's onto the podium. Overall, Jackson down to 4th in that BMW right now and being harassed, well, by another BMW. That's Oliveira right behind him, and Chris Tapio in that Porsche. That 1, 2, 3 Porsche also on the attack right now as we see Moran just losing a place. That's Fernando Torres heading through there. That Ferrari is going to be quick all day long on the back, but pretty much out the 90 all the way through to the bus stop chicane there, isn't it, Charles?
Yeah, absolutely. The Ferrari just, it's I've called it the Swiss Army knife of the GT3 field, right? It doesn't do anything great, but it does everything good. So the one thing I think is the biggest proponent is it's very slippy. It tows really well, and so as long as you can hang to the back of a car, you can stay in the pack, and you can potentially make up spots.
As that is Tapia getting past Oliveira there. That's going to give Jackson a little bit of breathing space. He's been able to pull out a bit of a gap as well, really helping him at this stage of the race. 4th overall is the see leader in class by quite a country mile, Vinicius. The ex-driver in AM, and he's all the way down in 8th and well behind as we come out of the 90. We go through the S's. Look who's in the slipstream. It's Hewins up into 2nd. He wants 1st against his fellow teammate of Aerokinetics, Pink Martins, and that Mercedes. Martins knows it. He goes defensive, moves his car to the middle of the track, back across onto the racing line, knows he's got it covered off, for he clatters the curves as they enter into the bus stop, trying to find the shortest possible line. Oh, wow. He holds on to it, but he's going to have his work cut out, isn't he? Because, as you mentioned in the build-up, that Mercedes is not good across the curbs there.
It's not, and I think the only thing that the Mercedes has going for it is that's what we call the NASCAR term the outer loop. Ooh,
wow, that's what happened at the start, and I think that was Vorst in that blue Mercedes, and I think he just got a little bit of a tap, just lost the rear, cold tyres as well, I'm sure, not helping that situation, Charles. And that's just what started off the catalyst to everything that's happening. This is from Leonardo Dragota's perspective, and Oh, he just got collected by the Porsche.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I saw where Toyota actually went in and pitted. I think Star Poli also came in and maybe took his fast repair, went back out. So he probably got collected in there also. So yeah, it's a tough break. The S's on cold tires, you just really can't go too wide through there. You just have to pick your battles on, especially in that part of the track.
Well, we're going to see a move here from Hewins. We've still got lots of racing left. We've got nearly, what, just under 55 minutes, but you try telling this lot that. They'll be going at it hell for leather every single lap, but I think he was just that peripheral chance. It's going to be a little bit too far back here, surely, for a bit of a lunch. But even so, Martin's, interestingly, I tell you what, he's covering it off every single, well, I say every single lap. We're only on to lap 3 at the moment, but it's still, you know, he's still not comfortable, is he?
No, he's not. Like I said, as we were saying earlier, the Mercedes is not great through the bus stop, but I think it helps that the Porsche, what we call the NASCAR term out of the loop, or what most people would call the carousel, that's one of those corners that the Porsche has a tendency to kind of lose the rear end of the car a bit. So that's maybe helping him keep a slim lead out in front of Hewins.
For now. Can he
For
hold
now.
on? I mean, hey,
you know,
we've still got a lot of races. I mean, he could lose it and then regain it numerous times over, and that would not be surprising for Watkins.
No, it wouldn't. No, that, like I said, the Porsche is fast. In the proper hands, it's going to be a car that's going to be formidable. But it's just as the fuel burns off and the tires wear down, it's going to be tricky through some of these corners, and it's just going to be up to Hewins to see if he can keep it under, you know, some semblance of control. If he can do that, yeah, he's absolutely got a shot to win the race.
So we look back from Martins. You can see his mirrors being absolutely filled by that Porsche 911 GT3 of Hewins. As up the hill we go, and I'll tell you what, he's closer than what he was last time around. The gap was about just over 3 tenths. He's shaved an extra tenth off. How much is he going to be closing up? Or I suppose Charles' other tactic is, does he need to really try and push him to overtake? What about if he just utilises it as a fuel save, just sits on his rear in that slipstream, and well, not getting the bus stops there. Actually, he's dropped about nearly the best part of 3 tenths, hasn't he, Hewins, compared to Martins? Yeah,
as much as we said the Mercedes doesn't like those curves, the Porsche really doesn't like those curves. So it's a gamble every time you try and take that. As we talked about before, as we're getting ready for the race, there's really 2 lines through the bus stop. There's the safe way, which is you basically just kind of put your outside tires over the curves and bounce, outside in, inside out to get through the bus stop. And then there's the fast way, which is you basically just, drive straight over the inside curb, which will gain you 3-4 tenths of a second if you do it that way. But some cars can do that every lap. Some cars can't. The Mercedes it's not comfortable, but it can. The Porsche is very scary, and the Audi is almost impossible, as we've talked about before. Oh, yes. The Audi will just absolutely try and kill you if you do that.
Well, talking of the Audi, could we see Hewins? I tell you what, he's had a good old look there at Martins up the inside, but it's compromised his entry and thus exit. And now Zane Smith, he's in full attack mode. He's tucked up right behind Hewins, and I tell you what, maybe Hewins has made his move at the wrong point there, because Smith is going to try and go right up alongside him on the entry into the bus stop. Are we going to go side? Oh, he locks it up. Yeah. Oh, and he holds it, but he's going to get a slowdown time penalty from that one, and that's going to cost him dearly.
Yeah, I think it's a bit early to be going side by side through the bus stop with 50 minutes left in the race. But it was a good look, and obviously not the greatest execution, but he did the smart thing, which is roll through the cones, take a slow down, reset, work your way back up to try again, as opposed to trying to make that corner and potentially taking himself and other cars out.
That's what he's saying it's 10 for effort, 0 for execution there, I think, Charles.
Yeah,
so
but we'll give him the gold star for safety. How about that?
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, we'll definitely go with that one. Interestingly, as they headed around the toe there, Tapio, that RPM Racing Porsche 911, trying to go right around the outside there, but yeah, took a bit of a different line, much wider line, well clear of the exits, trying to find his way right around the outside of that BMW and Jackson right now, and I think he might do it. He's got his elbows out, trying to force the move. But I tell you what, Jackson is now in prime territory, but here comes Smith in full attack mode, trying to get back those places that he lost. Only one lap ago, and he may well dispatch of Jackson, but Jackson's not having any of it. He's going to run it right around the outside, keep his foot absolutely pinned to the floor right now, but it hasn't quite worked up, and now he's got Oliveira right onto his tail. He's getting swarmed left, right, centre. They all zip in together with one another, but they are on nose to tail. So we head down towards the bus stop chicane, down the back straight away. And are we going to see a move here, or are they going to remain orderly? Well, let's find out, as there's a bit of a look there. And you see the different lines. Oliveira taking that much shallow line that you just spoke about there, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Jackson's taking the safe line, Oliveira's taking the fast line. They both managed to get through there. I think what Jackson, in his mind right now, should be, I'm in first place in the AM division. That's where I want to be at the end of the race. These guys, although we are fighting for positions on track, they're not really my biggest priority. So let's not do anything that's going to get me killed, and so I can finish this race in P1 for the AM class.
They just need to be careful though, because right queued up behind him, I mean literally they've taken their ticket for the cheese counter and they're formally an orderly queue of 3 Brazilian Delta Racing BMWs, of which at the rear of that train is Marcus Vinicius, who is second in AM right now. And I tell you what, if they work together and if they gang up on Jackson, which, hey, their teammates, they're fully entitled to do, then Jackson could well lose the lead, and after qualifying on pole overall, I tell you, that'd be us Brits, we love an underdog story, and that'd be a real shame to see.
It would be. He had a 3-second gap before Tapio and Smith made their moves. So he's got some pace in the car. He just needs to be smart, and I think we see maybe Vinicius maybe dropping off the back of that train. So if that happens, he can be a little more more comforting, letting those spots go to those pro class drivers.
They bound across the curbs once again through the bus stop. Jackson just taking that bit of a defensive line on entry. Can get away with it by just moving the car across. You'd have to be all the way across the left like you'd normally expect, or just straighten out the bus stop. And it seems to have worked for him so far. As I tell you what, Delgado just dropping back a little bit there. Certainly Vinicius, these Del Sport BMW, is starting to space out a little bit at this stage of the race, and just settling down nearly a quarter of race distance. Bit of a shout out to one of our sponsors for this series, Virtual Racing School. If you're looking to improve your on-track performance, they have 50+ data packs for road and oval racing with setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. Make sure you check those guys out. As Martins leads from Hewins, Tapio third, Saint Smith, he is back up into fourth. Work it out though, he's got about 8 attempts to catch up onto the back of Tapio now after losing those places after making an attacking move early on. Jackson leader in AM, 5th overall right now, but he has been hunted down, as we mentioned, by those 3 Delta Sport Racing, so Delta Racing BMWs of Oliveira, Delgado, Vinicius at the rear of them, who is 2nd in AM right now. Torres, he's 9th, 7th in class, with Clist rounding out your top 10 and the last podium position within AM right now. However, going behind him well, Aaron Beaver started dead last. He's up 7 places in the Audi. And I'll tell you what, coming along for the right is Andrew Moran in that Ferrari. He's up 3 places as well, and so is Tom Brezhnak, who started on the back row with Beaver. He's up 4 as well. So once again, across the curves, Delta Racing guys getting a bit spaced out now, but these 2 Aerokinetics pink, Aerokinetics then, trying to amalgamate both the words. But they're starting to really open up a gap over Tapia. No slap. Oh, what have you spotted?
Jackson.
Oh, no, and there's one of the Delta Sport cars there as well. So I keep calling them Delta Sport, they're Delta Racing. Which one is that? That's the 214. That's, oh, hold on. This is all three of our top three in AM right now, because I tell you what, Clist, the opportunistic Clist, the Brit, racing in an American League, says, thank you very much, lads. I'll have that. And, well, how has Vinicius come together with Jackson when there was a big gap between them, and Jackson had two Delta Racing BMWs in between him as well?
Well, I just saw Jackson fall down the order, and it's like, so I'm wondering, I don't think that Oliveira was close enough to make contact, so maybe he just lost the car and...
Bit of a sympathy spin, if you will.
Yeah, maybe he just lost it, well, or he just, as he was trying to recover or bounced off the Armco, he came back across the track and collected Vinicius. So I'm sure we'll see it on the replay what actually happened to that. But yeah, very opportunistic for Clist. Good old PJC taking a couple of spots away and putting him in P8 and topping the class.
There's a battle on here. Two Porsches into the bus stop. There's only one gap, and they cloud the curves on entry, make it through. But that is Smith ahead. I tell you what, this is Hewins. He's going past the Mercedes of Martins as those two trade places. The Canadian up on top of the pile right now, and top of the pile, Clist might not be for much longer as Jackson, wow, he's feeling refreshed, invigorated, but he's going to get it a bit wide. His exit's going to be compromised out of the bus stop, but he manages to fend off Clist by making that BMW M4 GT3 about as wide as he possibly can.
Yeah, that was a good pass, and just trying to get through there and sticking it through the bus stop. So it was a good move by Jackson. I think he's driving a little angry now, trying to make up those spots and make up for the mistake that he possibly made a little earlier.
Well, getting a replay. There's Jackson. This is what happened. So this smells to me, Charles, like he's lost it by himself. There you go. Oh, wow, that snapped on him.
So sideways and then rolls down into the apex. And,
no.
And then it looks like the Vinicius maybe got in the grass trying to get by him and lost it kind of on his own. But, you know, I don't think there was contact, but I think that Vinicius just got in the grass.
Well, let's find out. This is on board with Marcus Vinicius at Delta Racing. So he's going to come around the corner, and there's that BMW just rolling across. He got out of the power, and you called it, Charles.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, well, good thing is he basically didn't have any contact with the wall or with another car, so he can get back moving again. Of course, now he's lost a lot of time, and he's lost his rhythm, so he's got to try and kind of reset himself and get rolling and start picking up the pace again.
Well,
here's the pass for the lead.
It is indeed. And what happened to that Mercedes? Oh, just got a little bit out of shape, didn't it, on the exit out of the bus stop, and that's what allowed the opportunistic Spencer Hewins to just sneak through, gave him half an opportunity, and he took it with both hands.
Absolutely. A great pass.
It was a lovely little pass, that one. Just what we like to see. The Clist is, well, that is, Vinicius, where has he come from? And he's up the inside.
And Jackson is actually back behind Vinicius again. So I think there may be other things happening. Maybe Jackson had another little bobble. I mean, but now we've got a great battle for the class victory here with these three cars.
Yeah, for being incredibly spaced out, the three of them, to all over one another. And I tell you what, Vinicius is really got a bit between his teeth right now, having a good look at yet again up the inside of Clist, forcing him wide, and you can see the way he's left, right, left again, filling the mirrors of Clist as these three BMWs bat it out for victory in AM here at Watkins. 20 minutes complete, third of the race distance, and well, I think when we covered ARL trucks a couple of weekends ago, Charles, you compared trying to pick the victor out basically like a game of craps, roll the dice, you've got no idea how it's going to come out. I get the feeling we're in exactly the same situation here between these three.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously Jackson showed his pace last week at Spa. I happen to know PJC. I race against him in a different league. He puts a lot of time and effort into making that car as fast as he can make it, and getting prepped for a race. So he's going to give it. He's going to race them clean, but he's going to race fast. So it's going to be a great battle to watch during the last.
Oh, contact! I think it might have been a bit of netcode contact, but there was a definite slide there, and I think it was netcode induced there. That's Klisk on the run. We've lost a 33% of these cars battling for the lead in. Can Klisk make a comeback? We saw by Vinicius. Only time will tell, but work cut out because he's about 2 seconds behind these guys now. And after that, bit of a bump there. Let's take a little look at the replay. So that's Jackson losing the rear end previously for a different angle. Yep. Wow. Here we go. So there is Klisk. Oh, so that's what brought them back together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, hats off to Vinicius. The way he caught up with Klisk was amazing in itself, let alone. Then when Jackson, obviously, I mean, I do wonder if that spin earlier on is just overheated his tyres. Then when he started driving again, he was driving very aggressively. But has he just overcooked those tyres a little bit, Charles?
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. These tyres take a little time to recover. And yeah, if you once you've had a spin, you push them too hard, and it's a problem keeping them underneath you. I hated that I gave Klisk a little bit of a commentator's curse there, because he's a great driver, and so I know he puts a lot of effort into it to make the car fast. I'm hoping that was netcode and there's not any damage, so maybe he can work his way back up, and we'll make this a proper three-way battle again.
I don't know if you've clocked in the rear of the picture, Charles. What car is this?
That is I believe that is the 4 rings of the Audi.
That is indeed Aaron Beaver of Aerokinetics Purple. Take a bow, sir, because I tell you what, he's worked damn hard. He's got up 7 places, and from starting the back of the grid, I did say the only way was up, but he's in with a shot at the podium here.
He is indeed, and yeah, he's making that Audi work. So yeah, you have to keep an eye on him later on in the race and see what he's doing that's keeping that Audi pointed in the right direction.
Well, it's got 4 miles in it. Finished second last time out. So this is run down to the box stop. Vinicius on the left, Klisk on the right. They tried to go too wide, and that's netcode contact.
Yep, absolutely. And that is a possibility when, especially if you got. So we had a Brazilian and an Englishman try on the same track. So I'm assuming the gap is quite large as far as netcode is concerned. So yeah, they have to keep an eye on that for later on in the race.
Brazilian and Brit on the same track. That sounds like the start to a really bad joke, that, Charles. You get it from a Christmas cracker.
Or an F1 race. You never know.
Well, no, either, really. To be fair, you're not wrong there in the slightest. You're not wrong there at all. And just as we sort of race, well, breach nearly halfway, in fact. It comes through thick and fast, especially when we've got this much action out on track. I'll tell you what, actually, second and third overall, Martins and Smith, they're starting to close up a little bit as well. So it seems to be something about these battles over the podiums in each of the classes. They're definitely coming together nicely. But let's have a shout out to another one of our sponsors, Apex Racing Academy. To be fair, we've got Paul Joseph Klisk Racing, one of their liveries as well. They have 29 data packs with setups and track guides in them. They've also have integration with Virtual Racing School, another one of our sponsors. They've got weekly group coaching sessions and much, much more. Check those guys out. Let me go faster. Out on track, and Wow, you can just see how much. I say Smith, after he made that attack move on Hewins, wasn't it? Well, quite near the start of the race. I think certainly within the first 7 minutes, and he looked a bit down and out, didn't he? Really, you know, he had that slow down, drops all the way back down to 5th place. It was at the time, but picks himself up, dusts himself off. You know, got his big boy pants on. And he's dragged that Porsche, kicking and screaming, all the way up to the back of that Mercedes and Martins.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, he's you know, the gap's under. Whoa!
Oh, there's contact. That's Vinicius and Jackson down the back straight, and Vinicius has got damage to his front right. Although looks like that's popped. Is it me or is that just popped back out again? There's certainly a remonstrating flash of the lights there. Clearly, the Brazilian not overly impressed by whatever has gone down there because, well, he's still flashing them, isn't he?
Yes, he is. So that is a flash of anger. I've seen that before, unfortunately. But no, I just kind of interested. As we see, that's good sportsmanship by Jackson.
Yes.
Getting his spot back. So well done to him. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting how that all occurred. We kind of caught the end of it. And so it's kind of, I don't know what was going on there.
Wow, let's have a look. So Jackson, he's up for the S's. He's in the slipstream. This is, you know, is he going to go left? Going to go right. Vinicius goes left. Oh, well, I think he wasn't sure, and yeah.
Yeah, it's just a you know, a late reaction. Obviously he wasn't trying to hit him; he was trying to go by him. But yeah, he had a really good run through the S's, and just the closing gap or closing speed was just a little more than he anticipated.
Wow. Wow. I mean, you could see where he was moving around. Wasn't quite sure. I mean, Vinicius, in his defence, was pretty static. But when you've got that closing speed, it's so hard to judge, isn't it, Charles? And
yeah,
you know, you've got to pick a line. You've got to commit to it, and you know, you've got to hope at times you've picked the right one. As much as you know, the driver in front of you is, yeah, trying to be as predictable as possible.
Well, judging by that, what as it just came through the S's again, it maybe looked like Vinicius was a little offline at the end of the S's, and maybe he had to lift a little bit to get the car lined up. But yeah, I think once again, you know, obviously Jackson made a smart call by letting him have the spot back, and you know, just let him know, hey, you know, I wasn't trying to wreck you there. I'm just trying to make a pass and just misjudged it.
Well, it's this BMW. It does like a little bit of an understeer, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, you know, well, like I said, it's kind of like the Mercedes. It gets led around by that front end, and where all that you know, turbocharged power is. So, you know, where the weight's going to basically dictate where that nose is going to go. And so, yeah, it's a different driving style compared to the rest of the cars, the Merc and the BMW, obviously, because they're, you know, the front engines. The rest of them are mid to rear engine cars, and so they just require a different driving style, driving line. So it's if you're not used to driving it, I'm assuming these guys are, but even then, you know, mistakes happen, and you know, we won't be too hard on anybody during this race because I think everybody's trying to do a great job of keeping each other safe and battling where they can battle and not doing anything just incredibly dumb. And so as far as what we've seen during the entire race, as we're coming up to the halfway point and pit stops.
Oh, hello, that's Zane Smith around. I spotted that Tapio had got past him. Oh, it's not a good feeling, but sideways on at that point in the track. And there's only one thing worse, and that's being pointed in the wrong direction. But Zane fifth, after heaping praise on him after that recovery, got up to the back of Martins. And it's all gone wrong in a big way. Is it Porsche doing Porsche things? And that's Brezhnak into the pits. Well, to be fair, we are pretty much into pit window territory. A little bit early maybe in that window, but he's elected to, you know, go early. Probably just, I'm guessing, get himself in a bit of fresh air. But first off, let's take a look at the replay. So Smith, he's all by himself. Is this Porsche doing Porsche things, Charles?
It is indeed. There it goes. So just looks like too much throttle, trying to get back into the throttle. Ooh, and that's the scary part, is trying to get yourself righted and basically hoping that there's nobody coming around that corner, so you don't just drop back up right into their driving line. But well done. He was very patient and looked like he was really trying to pay attention to what was going on. But yeah, you know, Porsche suffers from what we call liftoff oversteer, where as you lift off the throttle and you're trying to make that corner, it kind of just wants the rear end wants to be in the front. It wants to be a Mercedes. It wants the engine in front, even though that's not how it's designed. And then as we saw, and that may be just, you know, too much throttle getting back in through there, or he was maybe holding the brake, trying to slow the car down, and then trying to turn at the same time, which the Porsche doesn't really necessarily, or none of the GT3s like, to be fair. You know, you can trail brake to a certain extent, but then at some point, it just, you know, with the extra steering, it starts to become a real issue.
That's why you need to drive an RMP2, Charles. Far more fun and predictable. Enough of my personal opinions there. You can tell what I race, can't you? You can tell. I'll tell you what, I was just watching Hewins as he came through the bus stop, and certainly from that camera angle, it was like poetry in motion, just effortlessly glide. Certainly, I can't say effortlessly. Well, far less effortlessly than me trying to say effortlessly. There you go. As you can tell, it's getting late here in the UK.
It is getting late. Yep.
It is. It's 2:45 in the morning, but it's while we're staying up for action like this. But yeah, just it looked like it was just hardly any inputs. He's not throwing the car around, just gliding gracefully like a swan across a, you know, completely still lake, as that is Fernando Torres having a little trip into the pit lane and taking his stop. Let's see if he does it again. I mean, just there you go. Yep. Clips it, glides it, lovely.
Yeah, he's not really pushing the car too hard, but I think what he's going to realize is he's not pushing hard enough, because I think Martins is actually starting to make up that gap just a bit. So we'll see if that changes his inputs a little bit more once Martins gets back up on his rear deck lid.
Well, sorry to rain on your parade, but Hewins was actually quicker by just over a tenth last time around. But we're just what do we know? What do we know?
I was looking at the intervals, and it was down just under 2 seconds at the beginning of the lap, and it has extended back out. So
there we go. I mean, to be fair, you can tell, and this is why that's Beaver into the pits in the Audi after running a brilliant first stint from him. But I mean, this is the beauty of GT3s, isn't it? We've got completely different cars, you know, different amount of cylinders, capacities, positions of engines in the car, yet all able to compete on a level playing field, and they're all stronger and weaker in different parts of the track, as that is our lead Hewins into the pits as well. Everyone follow in. Martins, Tapio in too. I tell you what, it looks like Tapio's really nailed that pit entry. Oliveira in as well.
Yeah, I think it's time to hit the Texaco station.
I think it is. There's Delgado and Smith in too. Yeah, I think, I don't know what it tells me, Charles, but I think definitely it's time to pit.
Yeah, it is time to pit. You can tell that everybody basically is just running their car to empty. And okay, so now we've got past the halfway point. We're out of fuel. So let's go fill it back up and do it for another 30 minutes.
Well, you tell Marcos Vinicius that, because he's going round again. He's managed to save a bit of fuel and drag an extra lap out of that BMW M4 GT3. He's going to assume the lead as Hewins comes back out and lead. Martins, he's come out in second. Tapio third. Clist, is he carrying on again? Yes, he is. As Jackson's into the pit lane, so is Moran in the lone Ferrari. Just trying to keep on top of this all for you, and if they've shuffled around, there's Jackson, stops, and well, he's got the first of the pit boxes, well, the very last even, first out of them onto pit exit, due to that qualification on pole. But looking at the order, I think everyone has come back out in the order in which they came in.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you still got Vinicius and Clist out there running around for another lap. We can expect them to come in. I mean, I would say this lap, Maybe they're doing some fuel saving that they can go a little bit longer, but it would kind of be shocking, wouldn't it? I mean, you know.
Well, you say this, Charles. I covered a multi-class endurance which had GT3s, GT4s, and TCRs in around Watkins Glen for 6 hours. Brilliant race it was, and ironically, it was one of the Porsches. Guy, one of your fellow countrymen, a gentleman called Sean Campbell. Brilliant racer he is.
I've heard that name. Yes, he is quite good.
He is quite good, and he sat in second for most of the race. But what he did was very clever. So that's Vinicius into the pits. Imagine Clist will be in too. These two, the only drivers yet to pit so far. Keep it up for Bruce Jackson, where he is and where these guys come out in relation to him. There is Clist in. But yeah, what he did was he just sat in the draft pretty much the whole race. And on top of that, turned down the engine mode so he wasn't using as much fuel. It was fascinating stuff to watch, and won it that way.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a really good strat. I don't think it works as well in single class racing. I think that you can do it, but you have to. I think how that really works is you have to be faster than the guy in front of you, and you have to know that you're faster than the guy in front of you. I think Campbell is obviously he's a 7+ KI rating driver. He's very, very fast.
Charles, hold on a second, because that is Jackson, and where is Vinicius? Well, there he is. I tell you what, Bruce Jackson, despite these two having near identical pit times, literally 100th of a second between the pair of them, Jackson's taken a big old chunk of time out, and that gap's down to a second.
Didn't Jackson say in the interview last week that he did a really good job of fuel saving during the race at Spa? So maybe he's got the similar strategy going on here. He's just basically, coasting into the corners and rolling through, not putting a lot of pressure on his car. And obviously it saved him several seconds in the pit, so that's how he was able to make the time up. So he should be in a good spot now to go back and challenge for this class win.
Of the top three, Clist has lost out big time. Actually, Clist had the shortest stop of the three. He was stationary for 1.1 seconds less than these two, but he's now 13.5 seconds behind Jackson, whereas before the round of pit stops started kicking off, I think he was around 4 seconds, wasn't he? When Jackson actually came in. So Clist has lost out big time there.
No, it's interesting. Basically, Vinicius and Jackson, as I'm going back and look at timing and scoring that I should have looked at early, I mean, they ran almost identical pit lane times.
Yeah, 100th of a second between the pair of them.
So it's interesting to figure out how that time got gained. I'm not sure. Obviously, the timing and scoring doesn't measure your entry speed coming into pits. It's basically from cone to cone. So I think that would mean Jackson had a really good pit entry, or Vinicius basically was just taking it a little easier, making sure that he got back into pit speed. Don't take the penalty. And so now it's put those guys back together on the track.
It's just what we want to see, isn't it? To keep ourselves entertained for the last 21 minutes and 20 seconds now is remaining. These two coming together. I tell you what, there's another battle starting to brew as well. There's a battle for second in class in pro and thus overall. Martins and Tapio, they're starting to close up once again. They've been well, friends, foes, don't know how you quite want to call it, but they've definitely been closing up as time's gone on. And oh, and a weaving for the Mercedes there, trying to break that draft. Actually, no, that's what he was doing, trying to get a bit of a draft off that BMW. They're coming around to the lap of, that's Afsal.
Yeah, it's, you do everything you can to try and make up the time. The gap's under a second between second and third. Looks like Hewins is, comfortably ahead. We'll kind of monitor that. I'll do a better job. Actually, they were faster than Hewins that last lap, so I can comfortably say they are gaining on them.
Well, I'll tell you what, they've I've just literally been sat here keeping a very eagle eye as they came through the bus stop against the interval against Hewins, and they took 2 temps out of Hewins just in that one section alone. Hewins' weak spot, as much as I was, lauding, compliments onto him, how he's gracefully, going effortlessly, I got it right that time, gliding across the curbs through the bus stop. Actually, it seems to be his weak spot on this track because he's losing time lap after lap, but he then does recover most of it a bit later in the lap, which is odd because obviously Tapio is in a Porsche as well, so it's not just down to the fact of Martins being in the Mercedes being stronger through the bus stop.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I was kind of noticing it looked like maybe Hewins was coming up on lap traffic, but I could be wrong. I just caught the glimpse of it as we were watching Martins and Tapio. And if so, that might shrink that gap even further and much more quickly. As we're sitting watching Vinicius and Jackson, they're within half second now. So this might be a really epic battle at the end of this race.
Well, we can only hope for that. Let's just run you through your standings with 19 minutes left on the clock. Hewins leads from Martins. Tapio third overall, with Oliveira in fourth. Smith trying to recover yet again in fifth. Torres sixth. Vinicius, your leader in AM, he's seventh overall, with Jackson hot on his tail in that BMW in second in Class 8 overall. Clist, after that netcode collision with Vinicius at the bot stop a few laps ago. He's ninth overall, but he's well down time-wise. Some 17 seconds down the road, and I'll tell you what, he's actually falling off further and further from these two as these two push each other along. Delgado, the pro, he is in 10th overall right now. And just keeping up to date on Beaver. Well, Beaver was another one because we could see him in the background of these two, Vinicius and Jackson. But he's like Clist, he's fallen off a little bit as well. But even so, he's up 7 places. You can't really knock that, to be fair, can you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's had a good race. Yeah, I don't know what caused the gaps. As I was looking at, Smith and Delgado are both running pace of the top 3. Oliveira's about a half second slower, but unfortunately the gap's 13 seconds between Oliveira and Smith. So the chances of him catching him, or unless Oliveira makes a mistake, I don't think he's going to make up any more spots based on that. There's just not enough time left in the race. But do you see the top 3 as we see the lap times come up on the screen? There's not really anything in it. I mean, they're all in like a tenth and a half. So it's going to be, it's going to be who can find that extra couple of tenths to make the difference at the end of the race.
Wow, it most certainly is, isn't it? And luckily, we don't have too much longer to find out. And, well, the pressure's just going to only build on these two. Vinicius, how he can defend from Jackson. Jackson on how he can close up the gap to a small enough distance to mount an attack. Keeping me interesting as I say about Delgado coming up onto the back of Cliff. So that's going to change position overall, but not in classes. Not going to make much difference, but it's coming up onto a bit of traffic. That's contact.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that was just a move that just wasn't going to work. Martins tried to get past the lap car, and the lap car was just basically running the racing line, and just made a late move, but had been slowed down enough to where the late move basically put him right in the path of Tapio. Or yeah, that's right. So.
Well, I think, to be fair, Martins is going to feel this was a bit of Tapio by nature, more than a Tapio by nature there.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but yeah, it was.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because they've got that lap car in the way, and you could see where Martins was indecisive, where he was sort of like, well, I'm not going to quite make it. Let's come across as the racing line Tapio thought he's gonna try and follow him through, desperate to stay onto his tail as well. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's as we see Jackson.
No, that's that gone. That's the battle for the lead overall in AM. Well, that's surely going to be gone. Gap out to 7 seconds now. And that is gutting for Jackson, having qualified on pole overall. Probably not going to even pick up the win in class, let alone be fighting for podium overall. Gutted for Bruce there. But I tell you what, I swear I could see all the thousands of miles from here to Brazil and the weight that has just been lifted off Marcus Vinicius's shoulders.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very glad to have that pressure off his back. And we hate to see it because obviously we were looking for a great finish to the race. And yeah, the situation with Tapio and Martins was just, they're all out there racing, even if you're running 16th. I think that was Drago that was in front of them. You're still out there trying to make laps. You're just hoping something happens and you can pick up a couple of spots. Like this right here, as a matter of fact. That's Tapio.
Oh, hold on. That's one of the Delta Racing BMWs. What has... That is Hugo there. They had another... Oh, that's crabbing like mad. That's ready for the bin, that BMW.
Yep. Well, it's ready for the fast repair. So... Tapio.
Just a little the grass.
Spin. Yeah, I got the grass on the edge, outside of the corner. And then
no.
Oh man, you hate to see that. That's those rejoins. It's just so tricky, especially when you're perpendicular to the track. It's horrible to see that because you don't want to hit another car, but you get, once you have a spin like that, you get kind of flustered. And you just want to get the car turned right and get back to racing. And then you have like that, you've got to check your relatives when you're in there and make sure that there's nobody coming so you don't have that situation.
Well, Tapio's into the pits. But what does this mean? Zane Smith, who looked down and out, and after that mistake early on, looked like it cost him a chance at the podium, all of a sudden finds himself in a podium position. Now, 2 seconds down the road from him, with 12 and a half minutes left on the clock, is Fernando Torres. Surely, Charles, this is going to invigorate him a little bit to think, hold on a minute, there's a little chance here at the podium.
Yeah, I haven't been talked about this entire race, and here I'm getting ready to battle for P3 in this thing. So, yeah, obviously, you get that next car where you're in his sights, or he's in your sights, and you're making up time on him. Yeah, you really you start hammering it, and you really bear down and try and make up as much of that gap as you can, and just see what happens.
Well, the previous time around, they were Torres was 6 tenths quicker. This time around, let's take a little look at the difference. Well, Smith was 5 tenths quicker than Torres. So, okay, so they've just basically traded pretty much the two differences there across laps. Probably a bit of traffic playing a little bit of part in that story. I'll tell you what, Torres now finds himself up a whopping 7 places. Beaver now in with inside the top 10 overall. 3.3 seconds behind Clist, who's on last podium place in hand. Those two keep up to date on lap times. Well, in fact, Beaver lost a whole chunk of time last time around compared to Clist. He had managed to get it down to quite a bit of considerable, about 2 seconds, that gap. Now 3.7. So there is Yao Delgado, who's, well, the best of races that he would have hoped for, I don't think.
No.
But to be fair, for the whole of Delta Sport, it's not been the race that they would have hoped for.
Yeah, it really hasn't. There's been a lot of issues in and around those guys. I just kind of looked to see what his lap time was. He was 1/10 off the fastest lap for the entire group there. That last lap, he's just so far back that, maybe he can get to his teammate Oliveira, maybe not. But he's running. I mean, like I said, he ran a 44.09, which was just a tenth off Zane Smith, and it was faster than the two lead cars. So it's just, it's a little too late at this point. But that was the reason I kind of chose him at the beginning. He does have really good late race pace. It just seems like as the fuel burns off in that car, he just gets faster and faster and faster. So maybe he can get another spot out of this and get a top 5 in his group. But that's not his goal. Obviously, everybody's going out here to try and win their class for sure.
Almost certainly, and Hugo Oliveira even, his fellow teammate and countryman and BMW driver ahead of him, has managed to get back in, take his fast repair, got back out and running again, now 5th in class, but, well, going to be gutted by that one after running so strong. He's going to definitely be gutted by that one. He's got a 4-second advantage over his teammate, Yao Delgado, you see right now on your screens. And it's all calmed down a little bit. We have 9 minutes left on the clock, and that's probably a good little time to mention our final sponsor of this series, SDK Gaming. We're looking to add a live virtual HUD to iRacing, show timing towers and half relative boxes, mini-maps, full calculators, and much more. Then SDK Gaming is the software for you. You also utilize it to stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing. Furthermore, you can use it to broadcast your leagues and series like we do for all of our broadcasts here at Apex Racing TV, because SDK Gaming allows you to sync your commentary teams. Oh, there's Afsel around in the BMW, and no damage on that one. No, he's got away with that one. That's why we have to use SDK Gaming now, because it instantly bounces. So our producer, John Robson, the virtual production trailer, changing it over there. And you can focus on the drivers and also produce these lovely overlays that we have here displayed for your broadcast. You can also utilize it to adjust your team's strategy on the fly, utilizing the fuel calculator and it being the most accurate live timing on iRacing. If that's not enough for you, this comes with a free 14-day trial to boot as well. Make sure you check out SDK Gaming. Well, I don't know where the last 52.5 minutes has quite gone, Charles, really. It's been action-packed, to say the least.
It absolutely has. And I was kind of watching as you were doing the, we'll see a replay here of Afsal. Yep. It's a very odd spin for a BMW, but yeah, just a little wide off the apex and tried to counter with too much steering input, and the rear end came around on him.
Bit of a strange corner at that stage in the race.
It really is.
Charles?
Yeah, it really is. You would, obviously the front end lightens up. I'm sorry, the rear end lightens up on the BMW. So I guess that might have had something to do with it as he's burning fuel off. But I think he just kind of missed the corner. Maybe he was just a little late turning in and tried to correct it and just lost the rear end. But yeah, it's a little strange for a BMW to be doing that there. You would normally expect a Porsche to be doing that there.
Talking of Porsches, see effortlessly glides across the curves. Once again, Spencer Hewins. Well, since he got past his teammate Lucas Martins in the Mercedes, that gap is now out to 17.5 seconds, Charles.
Yeah.
Bear in mind as well, at the run of pit stops, Lucas Martin was stationary for a second less than Hewins. So he's found that time, plus extra as well. I mean, the Canadian, faultless drive from him, and he's on course for his second win from 2 meetings so far this season.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Hewins because he's been fast in every race we've broadcast this season. But yeah, I think he had a little help as far as that gap with the trouble with the other cars, that we talked about earlier with Tapeo and Smith. So So, or I'm sorry, was it Smith or Martins? Anyway, so you know they're trying to pass the lap down car. So that did help him stretch a gap. But no, but he's been fast every race we've had. So it's no surprise for him to be on the front line.
I don't think it is. We're entering well into the twilights here. Currently, just about 20 past 6 local time on track. You see the orangeness of dusk setting in here. The lights start to become more prevalent on the cars. You see as well. Warmish track temperatures 27 degrees Celsius. For those of you of the Imperial persuasion, that's 81 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's a cool track for Watkins Glen. That's not bad at all.
It's not, is it? I mean, ambient, similar style, you know, 26 Celsius, 79 Fahrenheit. A little bit of a breeze in the end, northwesterly, 5 miles an hour. So, you know, a pleasant autumnal evening, I'd say.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was watching Smith and Torres, and they've been kind of trading lap times the last 4 or 5 laps. Just I didn't want to jinx them talking about a potential battle on the track. It seems like that's what we've done all night tonight. Is we just commentate first everybody.
Yep. Yep. I'll definitely go with that.
So, but the gap's been between 2 and 3 seconds, and I think Torres is faster in the first part of the circuit, but then Smith is faster in the second part of the circuit, and so there's really not really been much movement in those. Like I said, it's been 2 or 3 tenths per lap, you know, one way than the other. So I think that's going to be. No, I won't even say it. I won't even say it. I won't even say it because it's just going to be somebody. So,
yep.
Which is the last 3 minutes of the race.
Yes. I think based on our track record this evening, I don't say anything. I think it's a safer one. I think we've both learned from this one. As we see. Well, I tell you what, this guy's. I tell you what, he's been in the walls, but he's rode through it. And I think, do you know what, it's been a hard grind. Helped as well by Jackson's sort of half spin as well. Obviously that then, you know, separated those two. But since then, he's opened the gap further and further and further as finishes. I know he showed a decent pace all evening, but I mean, 14-second advantage over Jackson now. He's just not hung around. Kept that momentum high despite not being under pressure. I'd tell you what, well, last time around, he was matching pace with our leader overall, Hewins.
Yeah, he's ran a great race. He's had that little spin when Jackson spun, and he kind of just tried to avoid him. He didn't hit anything, so that was good. But yeah, he's just been consistent all night, and that's really what you have to do in these races. You just have to be at 95% of your max for the entire race. But you have to do it consistently, and you have to run, you know, just really quick laps for the entire hour. And he's done a great job of doing that.
If he can hold on to it, it'll make it 2 wins out on the bounce in AM for Vinicius. Interesting, Jackson, he's on for a 2nd place. Now, he's finished on the podium in the 2 previous rounds. A win on the opener at Road Atlanta, a 3rd place at Spa, so he will have collected the full set of podium steps if he can remain in 2nd place here today at Watkins. And, well, Clist, he's on for his first podium of the season. Pro and overall, well, we've got a minute and a half left on the clock. There is Clist, as mentioned, on for his first podium of the season. And just looking at that podium overall right now, this will be Hewin's 2nd win of the season. Martins, it'll be his first time on the podium. And it's likewise for Smith too. So, all round, new people featuring on the podium. It was truly turned out to be the battle of the Glen into the final minutes. And I think Afsal's had another bit of a oopsie-daisy and a bit of an off on track somewhere. Hewins just at the very best final sector of anyone. Sorry, penultimate sector, even sector 4 of anyone last time around. He's not still hanging around. He's still pushing on right until the very end. And where is he on track? I think, oh, this is going to be close, whether they're going to have to go another lap here, because there he is. So where is he's coming to the penultimate corner, around in the final corner. Yeah, he's going to take the white flag as he crosses the line. Nice, one lap left here to go at Watkins Glen, and couldn't run the clock down quite enough to not have to do that final lap.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those that it just seems like that's how it works sometimes. It's just, all right, do I lift and coast in here and take this, or do I go ahead and just run my pace? Because, you know, once you start changing your driving, then the potential for just something weird happening, it just increases. But yeah, it's been a really interesting race, and it's been a war tonight. Lots of, like I said, lots of spins, lots of drama. But like I said, overall, it's been. I think the drivers have been really respectful, have done their best to keep each other safe. Only had one real issue where it was, you know, where it wasn't net code, where it, you know, kind of looked like it was something that could be avoidable. But otherwise, like I said, it's been pretty good racing. We've had some good battles on track. They didn't last long, but we had some good battles on track.
You can never have too much of a good thing. Hold on, that
That's
means
true.
we should have had more. So actually, no, that analogy really doesn't work, does it? But not that it really matters, because I tell you what, he has got 3 corners left to go to bring this one home. As Spencer Hewins, Vero Kinetics Pink, the Canadian in the Porsche 911 GT3. 2 corners left now. And that's all that's between himself and victory here today in round 3 of the ARL GT3 Americas League. And Spencer Hewins makes it 2 wins for the season. Congratulations to him. He's going to be absolutely jubilant. Well, who is going to pick up seconds? It's going to be his teammate for a 1-2 for Eric Kinetics Pink in the Mercedes. Martins rounds the final corner, and he picks up second with a weave. Congratulations to the Brazilian. Smith in the end, he was hunting Martins down but couldn't quite do enough, ran out of time. He picks up that last podium position overall as well. What a day it's been for Delta Racing. And Marcus Vinicius picks up the win in a great drive from him at 3 places. And well, the unlucky Bruce Jackson started on pole overall. In the end, has to settle for 6th overall and 2nd in class. Unlucky for him. I think Kliss, yeah, he's going to do this. I tell you what, Beaver clearly suffering tyre wear in the last stages of the race, because he's fallen right off the back of Kliss. It's the Audi, and well, Kliss, he's going to round the corner. This is going to be his first podium of the season. Congratulations to the Brit. A great drive from him. And that beautiful Apex Racing Academy livery. No bias there whatsoever from us guys here at Apex Racing TV. Love that one. But, wow, what a race this has been. Charles, always look forward to Watkins Glen, and did not fail to deliver whatsoever, did it?
Absolutely not. You know, it was a great race. Like I said, you know, everybody drove, like I said, really respectfully. They tried to keep each other out of harm's way. Obviously, netcode, you know, not much you can do about that. The spins, you know, were, you know, awful. But like I said, you know, everybody did a really good job of trying to keep their car clean and not take other cars out. So it was a great race to watch. Obviously, you know, like I said, I think we've jinxed about half the field tonight.
Yep.
But you know, it you know, I guess that happens. Maybe we've got rid of all those for the rest of the season, and we can just we talk about somebody they'll do better instead of worse. And so that's my goal anyway. I hope that's what happens.
Well, we can keep everything crossed, can't we, Charles? And you never know. We've still got, you know, we've still got the half the season left to go. Daytona, Suzuka, and Road America. Let's just run you through your classified results here for round 3 of the ARL GT Americas Championship. Hewins taking that victory. 2 wins from 3. And in 2nd place, Martins, first time on the podium for him, and likewise for Zane Smith, a 1-2 for Aerokinetics Pink. Two Porsches and a Mercedes on the podium here today. Fernando Torres comes in third, so fourth even, apologies, with fifth place. And your winner in AM, it is Marcos Vinicius of Delta Racing in that BMW. And what starts off a podium lockout for BMW in the AM category. Bruce Jackson, as we mentioned, started on pole overall, gutting for him to end up finishing second in class, sixth overall. Hugo Oliveira, seventh. Well, he had that bit of a coming together, didn't he, with Chris Serpio? If he hadn't have done that, just where would he have finished? Yao Delgado, his teammate from Delta Racing, finishes in eighth with, well, last the podium finishes in AM. It's Paul Joseph Clist. A great drive from him. Beaver rounding out your top 10 and up an incredible 10 places, starting dead last in the Audi. Adrian Moran, he's up 4 places into 11th in the Ferrari, with Brezhnak up 5 into 12th. Afzal, he comes home in 13th, with Corey Groves 14th. And Dragota, he is in 15th place, 2 laps down into retirement territory now. Tapia, obviously, we lost him up back on lap 26, completed 35 laps here today. With Stopoli, we lost him back on lap 6, and Brian Vorst caught up in that big shunt into the S's on the opening lap, and he decided to park his car then. Let's have a bit of a chat to, well, what has been a great win today. We're now joined by Spencer Hewins. Spencer, I mean, wasn't easy. Started a couple of rows back on the grid. Definitely had your work cut out there today.
You know, same story as Road Atlanta. Can't qualify. I literally messed up the out lap, and then the lap that I wanted to do a fast time on, I couldn't have the slow out lap.
Between yourself and Lucas, what was the deal? Obviously, you're both teammates, you know, especially within the same sort of subdivision of aerokinetics, you know, both racing for the pink team. Was it a bit of a, you know, gentleman's agreement, if you have it like that, where, you know, you just sort of stick together, look after one another with the intention of going racing later? Or did Lucas sort of, you know, aid it a little bit? He did make a bit of a mistake into the bus stop, but didn't, you know, seem to yield the position quite willingly to yourself, and off you went from that point?
We didn't really have any agreement on whatever. We just kind of, race, but I tend to not race him too hardly. But yeah, he kind of ate it a little. I actually think he's a bit faster around in the Mercedes, so I had no problem following him because I had the straight line deficit by quite a bit.
But having said that, you know, your best lap was actually a couple of attempts faster than Lucas's. So, I mean, that only tells the picture of one lap across, you know, 35. But even so, a great result for you, Spencer. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, no, thanks Lucas for the help in the start there, because I actually probably would have left for dead without him, and thanks to Daniel again for getting me into aerokinetics and racing in the series.
Definitely. Spencer Hewins, your victor here today at Watkins Glen, and picking up his second victory of the season for Aerokinetics Pink. Let's have a chat to another one of our drivers. And Charles, I think he should have the honours of this one. Just managed to grab Bruce Jackson for a chat.
Hey, Bruce. So, hey, you set on pole to start the race. Looked like you had a little early pace, and then it looks like the pro guys just kind of swamped you there a few laps in.
Yeah, they were. I knew that our guys were faster than me, so I was like, "There's no sense in me sitting in their way." So I just facilitated their pass. They were typically going to be anywhere from a half a second to a second a lap faster. So I was like, "There's no sense in me holding these guys up. Let them do their race."
So,
you know.
Yep. So, talk about the little spin that you had there going in through the chute into the boot section of the track.
I have no idea what happened there. I've been kicking myself the whole time. I'm like, how did that happen? I have no idea how it happened. And so it is what it is. I kept it off the wall. I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone tapped me or not. I don't think they did. A couple of people I think got off track scoring around me. I tried to hold my brakes, make sure that I didn't move and mess anyone up, and then just got going again.
Yeah, I think the guys that were behind you, I think it was Oliveira and Delgado got through, but I think Vinicius had a little issue, maybe got in the grass and kind of lost the car a bit and spun
Right.
himself. But yeah, I
Right.
think everybody kept it clean through there.
Mhm.
So good race, but you still end up with a good result. P6 overall, P2 in class. So
Yeah.
you got to be feeling pretty good about that. You've had a couple of really good, or actually 3 really good races to start the season.
Yeah, but I'm kicking myself because I should have won this one, and it is, hats off to Marcos for the win. I tapped him in the rear end on the uphill straight headed towards the boot, not the boot, the bus stop, and he moved a lot. I wasn't sure which way he was going, so when I went to make the move, I guess I was a little too close, and I tapped him. He touched the wall, so I said, you know what? Let me just slow down. As soon as he caught up, I just gave him back this position and then started chasing him again. I
Yeah,
figured that was the only fair thing to do.
yeah, and we saw that and we called it out also. It was really good
Yeah,
sportsmanship on your part to let him have
yeah,
that spot back.
yeah. So, but all in all, it was a good race. I can't be upset. And Aerokinetics went 1, 2, and 3 at the top. So, can't be upset at all. I think those guys are down there and they were hooting and hollering in our chat. So they'll probably hoot and holler a little bit here.
All right. Well, who you want to thank tonight?
Once again, my team, without us getting out here and practicing all the time, we wouldn't be able to do what we've been able to do. We've had a lot of success here. I'm a little disappointed, not disappointed, but my heart goes out to Eric. He practiced a lot with us, and and then for him to go out so early, that was kind of rough, but otherwise it was a really good fun, really good fun.
All right. Well, thanks, Bruce. Congratulations on your race tonight.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, let's have a bit of a chat to another one of our drivers. I think we've got time for at least one more. Next up, to join us in the commentary booth, it is Lucas Martins, who picked up second place here today. Lucas, well, a 1-2 for Aerokinetics Pink. You couldn't really have asked for a much better result today. You looked incredibly strong through the bus stop. Obviously, you had a bit of a moment there a couple of times. But even so, to walk away from Watkins Glen with second place, it's a cracking result and your first time on the podium.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for the broadcast. You guys are also amazing, with amazing job as usual. Yeah, I had a good qualify. I think I could be a little faster on the qualify, to be honest. And yeah, through the bus stop, I was feeling comfortable. Sometimes a little bit pushing too hard. I got some rear understeer there a couple of times, but that's why I lost actually the first position during the race. And then, but Spencer was doing, I was way faster than me, I think, overall. So anyway, I think the team did a good job. The Aerokinetics team. Thanks for everybody on the team because we practiced a lot. And yeah, only thanks for everyone. And that was a great race.
It certainly was. How much were you aware of what was happening behind you? Because there was a fair bit of drama ensuing and happening behind you. And Zay Smith, he was really catching you towards the end as well.
Yeah, at the end, I was, one point, there was a guy, I think he was, we were lapping him, and he took a while to be honest, to be a little bit off our way. And I was a little bit, scary to jump in, and then he turned on me or something like that. So I tried to avoid those kind of situations. And then we had an incident where I think it was Tapio.
Yes.
He hit me in the back, so I went off, and then I think my car started really going, like, it deteriorated throughout the race to the end of the race. It was really slow, but I was lucky, because I was able to recover the P2 with the with the P2 and P3 incident, and then I was just managing the gap. I was watching the gap all the time. Zane he was catching up, but I was lucky to keep up and then maintain the second position, which was great.
Well, before we let you go, Lucas, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Again, shout out for you guys for amazing job. Aerokinetics teams, thank you very much. and all my family and all the support that I have. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, Lucas, in my worst possible Portuguese, I'm sure about to butcher this. Parabéns e boa sorte para a próxima semana.
Great, yeah, your Portuguese is super good. Yeah, thank you. Obrigado. Obrigado, boa noite.
Don't thank me. Thank Google Translate. That's what helped me on that one. That's Lucas Martins who picked up second place here today for Aerokinetics. Charles, I think we've got let's squeeze in Zane Smith. You could have a bit of a chat to him. We've got just enough time.
Hey, Zane Smith, so P3 overall, and of course as well as in class, had a very eventful race for you tonight.
Yeah, you could say that. Thank you.
So let's talk about you. You were up front, and then you kind of got shuffled to the back, had some issues, but you kept battling and you kept working your way forward. So just kind of talk about your mentality during the race.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what lap it was, but at one point I tried to go around the outside of Spencer in the bus stop and tried to carry a little bit too much speed and almost killed myself. So I had to take that slow down. But from that point on, it's all about just trying to limit the mistakes and drive your way forward because you were there at one point, so you can make your way back up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of predicted at the beginning of the race. I thought the BMWs were going to be strong, but those Porsches are just, I guess they're just fast. And the Aerokinetics guys just did a great job all night long.
Yeah, we're really happy with that 1, 2, 3, obviously, but the Porsche is quick anywhere it seems like right now. So keep that going until it changes, I guess.
Wait for the next BOP, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, congratulations. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, just everybody over at Aerokinetics, Daniel and Bruce, who lead it and do a great job of notifying us of all these events and making sure we're all getting involved. Those two are great. So yeah, just those two. And thank you guys as well for commentating and everybody that put the league together, I guess.
Well, absolutely our pleasure, and congratulations on P3.
Yep, thank you guys.
Well, as we round things out here today from Watkins Glen, coming up on the channel tomorrow evening, CSRF Weekend Warriors and IGP Fun F3. Both those series, big grids, big action, big drama, big excitement. Make sure you tune in to those. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button here for Apex Racing TV. Give it a like. Also at Monday evening, well, of course, it is the late Apex. Myself and Sam Fitzpatrick, all the latest news and events within the sim racing world. Oh, wow, what a race it has been. It's called the Battle of the Glen, and well, it did not fail to deliver here today in round 3 of the ARL GT Americas. But from myself, Tim Cox, Charles Michelle, and John Robinson, thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you in a week's time when the championship returns from Daytona.